It's just a little bit farther, I promise. Truly. Trust me. I've got you. Just keep holding my hand. And we're here. Don't touch the blindfold yet. Hang on, let me just. There. I know you figured we were on the beach. You can hear it, smell it, feel it, even. But this is what I really wanted to surprise you with. Here, sit down with me. No, the sand's firm enough not to need one. Don't look at me that way. I promise. Feel for yourself. You'll have to dust your ass off afterwards, but it'll definitely come off. And I can help with that if you want. Oh, absolutely. Not that I need an excuse to touch your ass, but if you're gonna give me one, I certainly won't turn it down. I wanted to bring you here because this is my favorite view on this beach. And I wanted to share it with you. From this one spot, the piers frame everything almost like a picture. You can see the ships anchored off in the distance, lit up like beacons. Even the oil rigs can be pretty, I think, when you see them like this. Their lights just floating in the dark, almost looking like a kid's imagining of a group of fairies. The stars reflecting off the water, looking like a handful of confetti that's just been tossed on black velvet. And the moon tonight, it's so bright it almost. It almost feels like daylight. I wish I could bring you here during the day. I bet it's even prettier then. No, I'd never even heard of Connor's Reef before. Before I was turned. I'm not even from this part of the country. I grew up going to beaches, though, and knowing it was a beach town, it made it feel just that little bit like it could be like home. I always loved the water. I was swimming from before I could walk, I think. And I always loved summer so much. There's a lot I miss from before. But there's a lot about here and now that's good, too. How are you doing with the move and settling in and everything? I know you chose to come here and that can help, but you moved completely across the country too, and while we haven't really talked about it, knowing you like I do, I won't venture to say it was a total whim. Oh, I guess maybe I should have expected that. I somehow didn't, though. I mean, yeah, jobs transfer people without previously obtained consent all the time, but you told me you asked for the transfer here, so I guess I just assumed. Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever understand how such a skeptic is such a borderline daredevil risk taker. It almost feels like a contradiction. I can't believe you asked to move here knowing only the city name and location. That's wild. And yet, somehow, completely unsurprising, all at the same time. God, I love your spontaneity. And as long as we're on your positive attributes, I also love your insightfulness. But you aren't the only insightful one here, and we both know it. So you know that I know what a whole sideline dodge that was. How are you? When I moved here, I didn't know anything about it. Not the city, not the magical community, not vampires, nothing. And I didn't really have a choice about coming here. It was the safest option for me, and it happened almost immediately in the aftermath. It took some time for me to adapt and get my feet wet. It took time for me to familiarize myself with my surroundings and find things I enjoyed that did eventually become things I loved. Members of my clan helped where they could, but I don't know that I was really ready to let them at first. I was going through a lot, and they understood that and gave me space while I sorted through it as much as I could. I mean, my whole life had been entirely upended in irreversible ways, and I was having to adjust to a whole new physical environment on top of that, and doing all of it all at once. While I did sort of end up springing the idea of the magical community and the existence of vampires on you, you aren't bound to it. Not in the same way I am. But that doesn't mean all the rest of what I was going through, minus the turning part anyway, doesn't still apply. Anytime you move somewhere new, especially if it's a good distance away from where you're from, it can be discombobulating. So many unexpected things can be so wildly different. There's a wholly different culinary environment to adapt to, new foods that you've never heard of, or an inability to find ones that you love from back home, or things you expect to be prepared one way being prepared completely differently because that's how it's done here. There's a new consumer experience with shopping options being not necessarily identical to ones you had before, whether that's stores or the products themselves. To a degree, there are even new societal norms. Does it matter if you jaywalk? Do you smile at strangers when you pass them on the street? Do you make small talk with the cashiers at the grocery store? You're in an entirely new city with an entirely new culture. And part of that is because of the distance of your move, but part of that is honestly because this city is just so truly unique, even without accounting for the honestly magical parts. Give yourself the emotional space and the grace to feel what you're feeling about this move, whatever that is. It was an upheaval for you in so many ways, and you need to allow yourself to feel that and to process it. You shouldn't always be trying to bury it under work or our dates. It's okay to feel kind of lost and uncertain. It's okay to need time to find your feet. All of that is totally normal, and pretending it's not or that it isn't happening won't just make it go away. The only thing that can make it better is to live your way through it. And it's okay if we need to slow down so you can. I mean, we jumped into this really soon after you got here. I love the time we spend together, and I'm absolutely not looking to change that anytime soon. But I want to make sure that you're in a good spot. However that needs to happen, however that looks like. If that means we take a step back, or that we step on the brakes for a bit, or if that means that we just keep doing us, like we have been. And I keep showing you my favorite spots and telling you about places I think you'd like. Whatever's best for you is what I want to do. Your well-being matters so much to me. I don't ever want you to doubt that. I'm here for you, however you need me to be, however you want me to be. Maybe I am being cautious. Okay, a little overly cautious. But one of us has to be, right? I mean, if you're going to be the headstrong daredevil, someone has to keep you grounded. Exactly. Okay. If that's how you want to handle it, we will. Nothing changes. We keep doing us. But I want you to promise me something in return. I want you to find somewhere all on your own for our next date. No input from me, no opinions from me, nothing. And Yes, there's an and. And if you find that you need a breather from this at all, you tell me and we will. No questions asked, no justifications required. Deal. Now, are you ready for me to brush your ass off yet? Or do you want to sit here a while longer? Oh, I can definitely be convinced that we should. Especially if we're going to be doing that. You'll get no argument from me.